Welcome to the show, everybody. This is your boy, Lo Jackson, coming to you live with the Only You podcast. This is a podcast that I like to do book reviews, to pass on information, to help people grow, develop, and become better people all around. This is a podcast that I like to share personal stories about my past and my development and my growth, because I do still believe that every day is a learning lesson in life, and that if you're not learning, then you're withering away, and your mind needs fed. Your mind needs education, and I'm here to pass on some information that might help somebody out. So let's get on with the Only You podcast. Today I am doing, you can analyze handwriting. And this is by Robert Holder. This is a great book. You can find it on all the platforms that I always talk about. I don't know if any of you know anything about handwriting. There's like a graphology. What does your handwriting say about you? You got to use graphology, and graphology is the study of handwriting, especially when employed as a means of analyzing a writer's character, personality, abilities, and etc. How you write can indicate more than 5,000 different personality traits. In the medical field, it can be used to refer to the study of handwriting as an aid in diagnosis and tracking of disease, you guys. So, you think the way you write is significant. Well, it really is. And it tells everybody all about your past and your future and how far you've come. So, even the size of your handwriting. If you're large letters, that means you're outgoing, people-oriented, outspoken, you love attention. This can also mean that you put up a front and pretend to have a lot of confidence. In reality, people like that sometimes tend to have less confidence, really, but they come off as, overconfident sometimes. Spacing between words, wide spacing between words means that you enjoy your freedom and don't like to be overwhelmed or even crowded. You like the freeness, and that's why that wide space is there, because that's part of your personality. So what's the opposite of wide? Obviously, it'd be narrow, and narrow spacing, it also means you can't stand to be alone. You tend to crowd people and be intrusive. So that's when your spacing's right up on top of each other. It's funny, when I was in second grade, I can remember my second grade teacher getting on this kid, Larry. Man, Larry used to write I kid you not. She would pull out this bifocal and be like, "Sir, could you come up here for a second?" Larry would get up there and she's like, Can you tell me what that says? And he would squint at the paper a little bit, and he would straight up read it to her. And she's like, "I cannot read that at all. You got to make your letters a little bit bigger." And I remember I was standing behind him. You guys, I kid you not. It was a paragraph, and it was 1 inch tall. It was a complete paragraph. There was over 6 sentences there, and it was only 1 inch tall. That's how small this person wrote. So, I just want to share that little story, because this is the Only You podcast, and, that's a part of life. We meet people and see things that, in second grade, I had no idea that, the narrow spacing in all of his letters, he didn't want to be alone. He loved to be around people. And it made sense, because when he got older, he was really an extrovert. Slanting. So, slanting letters, an E with no slant, it means that you don't let your emotions get the best of you. You tend to be logical and practical. If a G slants to the right, you are open to new experiences and enjoy meeting new people. The letter B, if it slants to the left, you tend to keep to yourself and generally like to work behind the scenes. If you are right-handed and your handwriting slants to the left, you may be expressing rebellion. I think that's pretty wild, right? Shapes of letters, it does matter. So O, rounded letters, you are creative and artistic, and that's just rounding of any letters, not just O, but I used O as a reference. A, because A has the big A has a point. They say A-framed houses because it looks like an A. And so pointed letters, you are more aggressive, intense, very intelligent, and curious. Connected letters, you are logical, systematic, and make decisions carefully. So here's another one. It's looping. Narrow L loops, you may be restricting yourself, which could lead to feelings of tension. Is that not crazy? The word wide L loops, you're relaxed and spontaneous. Self-expression comes easy to you. Narrow E loops, you tend to be skeptical of others. You tend not to be swayed by the emotions of others. So that's important. Remember that. Narrow E loops. That's you're skeptical of others. So that's something you can put in your tool bag to, try to assess people if you're trying to figure them out, or if you like someone to see what kind of person they are, maybe. I'm not sure. Wide E loops. So if you see somebody that writes wide E loops, they are often open-minded and enjoy trying new experiences. Dotting your I's is very important in handwriting, you guys. It's if someone does the dot high over the I, you have a great imagination. Like stashing your I's, instead of like an I, you put like a little slash. Stashing. I meant slashing, you guys. Sorry. This means overly self-critical, don't have a lot of patience for inadequacy, or people that don't learn from their mistakes. Circle your I's. So instead of like you put a dot or a dash, a slash, you do a circle. This means you're a visionary and you're childlike. And I used to see girls in school always write those big old circles. And sometimes I would do it because I thought, whoa, that handwriting's cool. And sometimes over time in school, I remember I had a classmate in 7th grade. She made her capital G like this. She drew a C and then put like an upside down L inside of it. And I've made my G's like that ever since. And I copied her G. I thought it was cool. So the dot right over the I, this means that you are detail-oriented, organized, or empathetic in what you say or do. Crossing your T's is very important. I mean, obviously, when you hear the statement, dot your I's and cross your T's, they really are serious, because all those things mean something. If you don't dot your I's, that means something. If you don't cross your T's, well, then it's an L, and your word don't even make sense. So, just kidding. So crossing your T's, at the very top, like a capital, if you cross it like that, that means you're ambitious, optimistic, and have good self-esteem. If you do a long cross, this means that you are very determined, enthusiastic. However, you tend to be stubborn and have a hard time letting things go. Hey, that's something important to know. If you do it right in the middle, and you put the cross right in the middle of the T, you are confident and feel comfortable in your own skin. If you do a short cross instead of a long cross, this means that you tend to be lazy and show lack of determination. That's pretty interesting, because I have met other people that do that stuff too. Like I feel like sometimes handwriting people just are like in a rush and they just don't care, about handwriting. Like my mom used to tell me, hey, if you're not gonna have nice handwriting, at least learn to write your name infallible. And so that's what I did. I practiced writing my name over and over and over and over. Now my signature looks like a doctor's signature. And it's big and bold because I'm an extrovert and I love people. And I'm outgoing and I care about people. So thank you guys for listening to Only You Podcast. Your boy Lo Jackson coming to you live. I love you guys for listening. Thank you for following me. Thank you for sharing me. I am so grateful, honestly. Open and closed O's. Open O's means like you are talkative, social, able to express your feelings, and have little secrecy. I wonder who that could be. Sounds like me. Closed O, you are very private, limited to sharing your personal feelings. You're an introvert. That's kind of cool, right? Lowercase cursive S's, and this is very important right here. So, round lowercase cursive S's, this means that you are a people pleaser and tend to avoid confrontation. And that's me too. That's wild. Pointy lowercase cursive S. You enjoy learning new things. You are inquisitive and ambitious. The higher and pointier the peaks, the more ambitious you are. Cool. That's good to know. Wide towards the bottom means you are not, you might not be following your heart in career or other pursuits. I think that's pretty awesome. So another thing they say here is about pressure, like how you press your pen or your pencil. Heavy pressure means you are good with commitment and taking things seriously. If pressure is excessively heavy, you tend to be uptight and can react quickly to criticism. If the handwriting is light pressure, you are sensitive and show an empathy to people, but you also have lack of vitality. Kind of interesting, right? And also, it talks about speed. If you write quickly, you are impatient, dislike delays, or time wasters. I just said that earlier, remember? If you write slowly, you are more organized, methodical, and self-reliant. I find that pretty awesome. This whole thing, it's what your handwriting says about your health. That's important, you guys, because this podcast is about health, about mental health, more about mental health than anything, just for the fact that everybody can see scratches, bruises, broken bones. Nobody can see a bruised brain, a bruised prefrontal lobe cortex, or a bruised cerebrum. You just don't know. So what your handwriting says about your health is, what about high blood pressure? Writing with variable pressure is one possible indicator that you have high blood pressure, especially when it goes from light to dark. Because when you're writing, your heart's beating. And this is how when I read this is what I believed. Because what are the other odds of it? Because you can put your two fingers on your wrist and you can take your blood, pressure like that, your heartbeat, you feel it. Schizophrenia is another one from your handwriting. When the slant varies within a sentence or within the same word frequently, it is one form of evidence the person is not having continual contact with reality, you guys. And we all have learned now that, schizophrenia is brought on by some of the deepest, darkest stress that you could ever imagine, and I've had the fortunate time to know somebody that was suffering from schizophrenia, and I watched them heal. I watched them come out of having a personality disorder and being so whacked out of their mind you wouldn't believe it. But they came back and became themselves again. So it is possible. And with studying, applying, and doing, everything is possible. Alzheimer's disease, handwriting deteriorates as the mental facilities deteriorate. One of the many factors includes handwriting that changes to irregular and altered letter, coupled with trembles in the writing. The writing will also slow down. Parkinson's disease. One of the signs of Parkinson's disease is very small and cramped handwriting, micrographia. Sometimes the handwriting can become so small even the writer cannot read it. Remember Larry I was telling you about? Yeah, he suffered from micrographia. And it's a real ailment. And not a lot of people know about it because it's just something you don't see every day. You don't hear about it. And and now back to Robert Holder's book, You Can Analyze Handwriting. Chapter 1 is what a knowledge of handwriting can do for you. Do you really know yourself? Do you know that handwriting mirrors character? Would you like to learn how to see people as they really are? A knowledge of what your handwriting means may change your life. Every time you write your name, you are registering a picture of your personality. If you could set down your signature in a continuous line from your first schoolboyish scribble to the stylized autograph of yours, as of now, you would have a portrait in writing of your character from childhood to adulthood. Is that not unreal, y'all? When I first read that, I was so in disbelief, like, wow, I do truly believe that, think about it. You learn to write your name at a young age and you're using big letters and it looks all silly, but everybody always loves it, because you're learning. And It's encouraging, but to see it when you become an adult, like, whoa, like this is who I really am. And my letters were always big, so I've always been an extrovert, and I truly believe that. The story of the development of your character from year to year would be seen in the script, just as a slice of log tells in the concentric rings how the weather helped or retarded the growth of the tree. But you are not felled timber. You are very much alive and growing. You have many chances to adjust your mental and physical environment so that you will grow straight and develop normally. Handwriting reveals your present and past growth. And I was talking to you guys about that earlier, and I do find that to be true. Because it's like, wow. Writing it down from kindergarten, senior name in kindergarten to right now is, I'm just thinking in my brain like, geez, what a lot of development there, Your handwriting will reveal the nature of your present and past growth. If it satisfies you, the next step is to study the writing of others so you may understand what is happening to their lives. If you are not satisfied, you will want to see yourself the way your handwriting mirrors you, so that you will have a true picture of your personality. Know yourself first, then know others. Then enjoy the thrill of fitting in with the whole human family, because you will understand people at that point. And you will never again have that feeling of being alone. When you start to read character from handwriting, the science of graphology, you will discover that people fall into general personality types, of which you might possibly be one. You will also find out that regardless of financial or social success, even the leaders in the community and the nation have their weaknesses. You will have revealed to you also what traits of character helped to achieve success. You will discard that cheerless untruth that there is no one else in the world like you. You will find out that there is no one quite like you, but that you have millions of general counterparts everywhere in the world. If you amazingly turn up handwriting evidence to prove you are a genius, just remember the genius is a type 2. We have had them before and expect to keep them, We have had them before and accept to keep them. You are what you write, but you don't have to stay that way. When you look at your handwriting and classify yourself as a particular type of personality or a complex bundle of entangled human nature, you do not have to stay the way you see yourself. This book will reveal how you can change for the better and find life stimulating. Why your handwriting reveals the real you. You are not what you think you are, nor are you what other people imagine you to be. You tend to forget your faults, and you magnify your good points. 6 different people will see you 6 different ways. Your handwriting will record an accurate picture of the real you, because it is the end result of your brain in action. When you write, you think, to prove this, try to write an intelligent statement without keeping your mind on what you are writing. You will find it will be impossible. Your brain must tell your hand just how to write the words, that you must tell your hand just how to write the words, and that you see in your mind, or the words that you see in your mind. Your nervous system acts as the wires along which the message of how to write will travel. Hence, stimulated by the brain, your muscular system, and coordinated into a more or less controlled writing movement. What a knowledge of handwriting can do. And that's the chapter that we're reading, you guys. The handwriting that evolves is as personal as your fingerprints. Pressure, size, slant, style, letter, shape, spacing, and scores of other details of writing can and do vary in everybody's script. Your writing will also change according to the mood of the moment, a change, however, which will not affect your basic writing movements. Remember what I was saying in the beginning about dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and all that stuff? That's what he's getting at here, because, you know, you could be having a really bad day, but be an upbeat person, but that day be closed off and introverted, and your writing style be different, but your I's, T's, S's, and A's, they're all going to be similar and very, very same over the period, you know, of your life during that time of your life. Children write like children. Adults write like adults. When you were a child, you wrote like a child. Your handwriting was large and slowly formed. It was awkward and lacked rhythm, and it reflected the immaturity and simplicity of your childhood. So, you wrote that away. But when you grew up, you put away childish things. And that's actually a Bible verse right there. You know, when I was a child, I did childlike things. When I became a man, I put childlike things away. Your writing was no longer simple. It mirrored the character traits and the personality twist which you had acquired. The simple ingredients of childhood had become the infinitely complex blend of millions of experiences which are now completely recognized as you. And you write accordingly. No two persons write the same way. That is why no two persons write exactly the same way. They couldn't even if they wanted to. Our whole system of credit would collapse if one person's signature were not singularly different from that of another. Yeah, I totally believe that would be terrifying. A bright new world can be yours. This book will show you how to use handwriting study to pick out personality and character clues, and then how to apply many of the findings of modern psychology to help open up a bright new world for you, for your family, for your friends, and for other people who might be interested in you. Graphology will be easy for you if you add this new information to what you already know about people. The behavior of those in your immediate family and that of close friends is bound to be fairly clear to you. Build upon this knowledge using handwriting analysis as the master key to unlock personality mysteries. Psychology and layman's answer to personality problems. In these pages you will find out about the new and highly useful science called psychographology, which adds modern psychographological principles to the science of graphology. You can actually do it yourself by merely looking at your own and others' handwritings. Handwriting is your new raw material. This book is your power tool. Using this book as a tool with as much handwriting as you wish to work on and employing a full set of psychological attachments, you will be able to understand people who have puzzled you for years, as well as find out all about yourself. The method of objective self-inspection will remove any blind spots you may have in your personality, since you will not be able to reasonably to dispute the scientific findings covered in the section of graphology. You will admit any weaknesses in your character and will want to do something about them. Thank you guys for listening, and this is the Only You podcast, where I am doing Robert Holder's book called You Can Analyze Handwriting, and we've went over dotting your I's, crossing your T's, writing I to refer to yourself. People who make their capital I to refer to themselves larger than other capital letters tends to be arrogant. People who make their capital I similar than other capital letters tend to be happy with themselves. What about a lie detector, you guys? Handwriting that is bunched up, moved out of alignment, or otherwise different from the rest of the writing indicates a lie. Is that not wild? What about your signature? If it's not legible, you are very private. Hard to read or understand. Legible, you are confident and comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to pretend you're something that you are not. I totally believe that. Thank you guys for listening, and this is the Only You podcast, coming to you live Thank you, Robert Holder, for this cool handwriting analysis book. You can find this at all your major platforms, Google Books, Barnes & Noble. It actually ranges anywhere on the internet, like on Amazon and stuff, like $5. It was like $3 to $8 I found it for. Know yourself by using handwriting clues. Before you can improve your character, refine your personality, smooth your relations with others, advance your job or success in business, attain happiness in marriage, get rid of unhealthy practices or attitudes, or free yourself from silly or sickening fears and frustrations, you must get a clear personal picture. You must know yourself. Repeat that, you guys. You must know yourself. A lot of people don't. They know a little bit about themselves, but they never seriously step back and really get to know themselves. And that's what makes people like that sad when they're running around trying to make friends with every single person they see. And, oh, this is going to build me an army and they're all going to love me. No, it's going to collapse in front of your face because you didn't take the time to realize that you got to savor relationships. Being friendly with somebody doesn't make them your friend. It makes them your acquaintance, and that's it, you know, and it's sad when people do this, you know, and a lot of folks don't even see themselves, like they don't even know themselves. That is the first step, and handwriting analysis will make that initial pace positive and reassuring. Self-knowledge will give you confidence that you know what you are doing and that what you are doing is right. You will respect yourself for what excellent talents you will undoubtedly discover. Other people will catch the cognition of glowing self-esteem and reflect it in your direction. The doors of many situations will begin to open almost before you touch the knobs. Maybe you are an engineer who secretly loves to sing, but fear of making a fool of yourself has prevented you from joining a choir group. When you find out from looking at your handwriting that you have a wonderful sense of rhythm and musical sensitivity, your fear will vanish and you will add a new happiness to your life. Perhaps you are a banker who would be advanced into a public relations vice presidency, but you lack facility in talking before groups. A glance at your writing discloses that you have excellent spatial relation knowledge, that you have word fluency, that you have a sparkling sense of humor, but that you also have an ornate personal pride. That latter prevented you from taking a course in public speaking at the local adult education center. Now that you know what held you back, that you were just blind to an important personal improvement because you thought it was beneath your dignity to go back to school, you will drop the dead weight and advance unhampered. You can also soft pedal that which you cannot prevent in your personality. You can concentrate on constructive elements of your character. You can relate your interest and your vocational aptitudes to your present job and your future job advancement. You can use your new knowledge gleaned from handwriting study to solve every possible personal problem so that the solution fits the real you, as you now will know yourself. And thanks again, you guys, for listening to the Only You podcast. This has been the rendition, and I'm passing on this information about handwriting analysis just for the simple fact that it is important to understand yourself, and not a lot of people do, and that's why I'm doing this handwriting analysis book. Is I'm really trying to touch base on getting to know yourself. Step back, you know. I just wonder, do people really have a clear sense of who they are, you know? It's crazy. It's like developmentally we wrestle with finding ourselves as teens and young adults, and then we often revisit these questions in middle age. It's both normal and essential to seek self-understanding. It's like in order to accept ourselves and establish a sense of belonging, we need to understand who we are. A strong sense of self helps us navigate life and brings meaning to our experiences, obviously. I mean, and honestly, without it, we feel lost. And that's every day, you know. Why do we experience a loss of identity? One is we put everyone else's needs before our own. when we focus on others and neglect ourselves, we fail to recognize and value ourselves and our needs. We minimize who we are and what we need. And that word minimize, you guys, learn that word, because we as human beings love to minimize everything. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people suffer out there, they love to minimize their alcohol use. They love to minimize their lying, they love to minimize their cheating or their womanizing. You know what I mean? It's a horrible situation. Okay, now number 2 is we are disconnected from our thoughts and feelings. We commonly keep ourselves so distracted and numb with alcohol, food, and electronics that we miss important information about who we are. If you're doing all those things, you have no idea who you are because you're trying to self-medicate, and it's like, once I stopped using alcohol, I actually went to the bar and sat there one time in the back room in a smoky bar room, and I watched these people. And I went there all week long, every single day, and had water after I had quit drinking. And it was the same people all 7 days, every day. Obviously some new patrons would come in here and there, but it made me realize all those people that were regulars, they were there self-medicating. They did not know what was wrong with them. How often do you reach for your phone or a snack or a drink when you get even slightly uncomfortable? These things keep us from knowing ourselves because we don't allow ourselves to be curious and ask ourselves how we're really feeling, And if you do this, sometimes people actually neglect their own feelings because they have become so numb and just checked out. We experience life transitions and changes in our roles, experience like divorce, retirement, job loss, death of a loved one, or other traumatic events can also result in losing our sense of self, and life's about knowing yourself. How can you know a lover? How could you know a friend? How could you know your father or your mother? And I'm serious. You think you know your father and your mother? No, you don't, because you don't even know you. And for whatever reasons, whatever traumas, whatever tragedies had happened, you have become unknowing to yourself, and that's why you're suffering. And I do truly believe that. We feel ashamed and unworthy. And consequently, we bury parts of ourselves. We were told that we were bad, strange, ugly, stupid, unworthy, a piece of shit. We've all been called all kinds of names. And but you guys, every single one of you out there, you're entitled to your own individuality. You're entitled to your own personality. Nobody out there can ever argue your feelings. Not in court, not in your human resources office, not in front of the pearly gates with St. Peter could he argue your feelings. And I mean that, y'all. Maybe, I don't know. It's like we were criticized or teased or bullied, whatever it could be. Maybe you loved to play chess as a kid, but you were told it's not cool to join the chess club, so you quit. And you could have went on to be Bobby Fischer. You know what I mean? But yourself made you do that because you didn't know who you are. You didn't know that you were Bobby Fischer inside, because whatever reasons, your self-esteem, your depression, your things that have been built up and causing you borderline personality disorders are causing this, and it's crazy, or maybe, or perhaps you were shamed for your sexual orientation, or this happens every single day. I see it in the workplace all the time, and it happens a lot to females, unfortunately, especially if they are openly, lesbian, and men hate that. Because they think that they're like dudes gonna come and steal their girl because being a lesbian is way more acceptable than being gay now. It's like, okay, it's both of the same things. It's two people loving each other. Who are you to judge? Let your God judge. You do what you have to do when you love while you're here. But once you step into the realm of judgment, everything around you becomes a judge. And then the world judges you equally. So, you got to take that into account when you're out there doing those things. We are told we have to fit a certain mold. And if we're to fit in somewhere. And a lot of times we can't fit that mold. There's lots of kids out there with ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. There's people out there with OCD that, you know, I mean, there was the movie The Matchstick Man with Nicolas Cage. He had to literally close the door, go 1, close the door, 2, close the door, 3, close the door, and then he would, on the third time he closed it, he would let go of as he pulled back, he'd let go of the handle and he'd open the door, because in reality, he had caused himself a borderline personality disorder and couldn't even realize it because he didn't know himself and he had closed himself off from the situation. You know, questions to help you know yourself better are, 1 is, what are my strengths? 2, to help you better know yourself is, what are my short-term goals? What are my long-term goals? And none of you guys have goals. I know you don't. I see you out there falling through your lives. I'm not stupid. Then you wonder why I'm so happy, why I'm always so chipper. Oh no, it's because I'm fake, guys. This is all big persona. I go home and I'm all upset. No, it's not true, dude. I know who I am. And every single week on Friday, when I sit down and I write out my little health assessment my doctor makes me do, I also do a self-analysis. I step back and reflect about my week, about my words, who I ran into, how I portrayed myself, how I acted. You know, here's another one to help you better know yourself. 3 is, who matters most to me? Who are my supporting people? And if you don't have any support, you need to find it. Because no person out there ever grows from isolation. When you isolate, that's a good way to find yourself in a very unhealthy situation, even the hospital, and if not death. 4, what am I ashamed of? A lot of people carry shame with them for things that had nothing to do with them because they were treated a certain way by an adult as a kid, that the shame is carried on for life, and they never let it go. Even when the person passes away, they continue to carry that shame, and it's sad, you guys. 5, what do I like to do for fun? You know, you need to write this stuff down. Like I always say, only an idiot writes it down because then he never forgets. What a great idiot, right? 5, what do I like to do? Oh, sorry, I already read that. Excuse me. 6, what new activities am I interested in or willing to try? Ask yourself, you know, like I went out 2 weeks ago and I bought a basketball hoop and a basketball because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go back to the gym and lift weights. I really don't. You know, I've lifted weights for all my life. I'm good. You know, I could knock off 350. Okay, big deal. You know, I don't care about that stuff. I care about having fun and getting active and being interested in it. So, you know, I grew up in the 90s in Chicago. So I'm a huge Chicago Bulls fan, Michael Jordan fan. Well, in reality, y'all, I got to tell you, when I'm out there on the court in my yard, I am MJ, y'all. I believe I can fly. That was my 8th grade graduation song. Anyways, back to the questions to help you know yourself better. And this next one, you guys, I wrote this one down because I find this one to be very important. It's, what am I worried about? You know, if you fix your mind constantly on problems, and you become those problems. I mean, those problems consume you. And what are you worried about? You know, don't worry for anything. Pray about everything, because when you're constantly in tune with your higher power, how can you be worried for anything when all you care about is pleasing your higher power and making him smile down upon you? Because your earthly mother, your earthly father, yes, they're here, they made you, yes, you think you care about them. They should take second place to your higher power. And that's the truth. And when you get on that level and you realize that, I'm telling you, it changed my life because, you know, as a kid, my dad died at 5. Boom, instant heart attack, gone, nobody believed it. Well, it took me about 20 years before one day I was at work and I thought, I love God so much, I don't need no earthly father. And when I said that, it literally, I mean, I'm telling you, a ton of bricks came off of my back, and I had never felt so relieved. I felt relieved and relief all at the same time. It was unbelievable. And I was no longer worried about missing my father because I had God, and I didn't worry anymore about that stuff, and I let it go. It took me a long time, and my mom did worry about me. She always told me, I never knew what to do for you, because when, we lose a parent at a young age, sometimes our minds, they go sideways. I'm 8. And these, I'm reading to you guys things that, questions to help you know yourself better. And that's why I shared the handwriting analysis book with you, because you got to get to know yourself better. 8 is, what are my values? What do I believe in? Consider politics, religion, and social issues, because these are all parts of who you really are, and, what you're really all about, and you got to get to know yourself. What are your values? If you don't have values, how do you have any morals? And that's important to have values, you guys, for our children, for our husbands and our wives, everything. Everything is pertinent to values. Here's 9. If I could have one wish, it would be blank. Write that one down for today. I want you guys to write this one down. If I could have one wish, it would be blank. Reflect on that, because that's part of who you are. And analyze what you write down and how spaced out the words are. Did you dot your I? Did you slash your I? Did you make a real long T, a short T? I'm serious about that. 10. Where do I feel safest? As a human being, a lot of children that are growing up in poverty, they actually develop borderline personality disorders very easily. They, schizophrenia, bipolarism, because unfortunately they feel unsafe. And I know this feeling, you guys. When my dad died, my mom hit the bottle. I ran the streets. I was digging under pop machines, in and out of laundromats, looking for change to feed me. Because I hadn't seen my mom in 3 days because she hadn't come home, and I was 5 years old. I was 4 years old. I was out there doing that stuff. And then but that's why my mom was like, I didn't know what to do for you, because I didn't feel safe. And she didn't know how to make me feel safe because she didn't feel safe. 11 is, what or who gives me comfort? Very important. Your comfort, your safety, those are all natural human needs. And everybody needs those things. 12 is, if I wasn't afraid, I would blank. Write that down. If I wasn't afraid, I would blank. Because whatever you write down there, that needs to be your year goal. And I mean that. If I wasn't afraid, I would blank. Because you only live once, and you're wasting your time. You're falling through your life. You're going to your dead-end job every single day. You want to be with, you want to be with some girl at your work because you're a girl and you're married. Put it in that situation. I'm not proud of that situation, but hey, if I wasn't afraid, I would, because you being, a homosexual inside and then acting as a heterosexual, dude, do you have any idea the chaotic, the untethered soul inside of that body and mind? I'm telling you what, I have a cousin, and I mean, he did this, you guys. He was a homosexual. We all knew it, but he didn't want to believe it because we are a Christian family, and he became, he literally developed agoraphobia, and it was unreal. He used to hide under sheets and run around the house terrified for 10 fucking years. This wasn't some, overnight thing, you guys. And he was a beautiful human being. He still is. And he's no longer like that. He's healed. He's out of the closet. He loves his life. He loves himself. And we all love him too. And we all accept him. But that's a huge one. If I wasn't afraid, I would blank. 13, what is my proudest accomplishment? 14, what is my biggest failure? 15, am I a night owl or an early bird? How can I arrange my life to better suit this part of my nature? And that's important, you guys, because I had read a study a few weeks back about people that stay up past midnight. Within 3 weeks, staying up past midnight every single day, they start to develop negative worldviews. After 4 weeks of staying up past midnight, they start to develop negative relationships in the workplace. That's why people on third shift are so bizarre and out there. Oh yeah, and you were so good at your job, man. You were over here all this time. And then the next day, you're a lazy mother effer, man. Get out of here. I'm like, what in the world? Well, that's third shift, and that's why I just don't want to do it. I worked third shift solid 12 for 2 years. No thanks. Not a fun time. But thank you guys for listening to the Only You podcast. And today, I was reading to you a book. I thought that it would really help you, and honestly, just getting to know yourself, and it's the secrets of understanding yourself and others in simple, scientific, and it's right in your hands. Literally, your handwriting. You can tell all kinds of things. I'm telling you, go out and find Robert Holder's book. You can analyze handwriting and do it. I'm serious, you guys. I love all of you guys. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this is a great podcast. Share me. Get me out there. I'm trying to do this. And hopefully I'm helping somebody somewhere at some point. I love you guys. Be good to yourselves.